Is this another example of an overreaction? Because I kind of feel like it is. Everybody saw the Rams annihilate the Bears, right? The Bears secondary was horrible. Matthew Stafford looked really good. The Colts lose to Seattle at home. People are, what's wrong? Carson Wentz, he's not going to get the job done. You know, going into this game when they play, you talk about the Colts on the road. The Rams are giving up 3.5 points. Like, what should we expect in this ball game? Is that an overreaction? Are you with me on this one or no?
Yes, so there are a handful of games this week that just smell like a trap. Denver laying the 6 in Jacksonville, that feels like a trap. The one you just mentioned, Jay Will, feels like a trap as well. Look ahead line, Rams were -3, right? So we all watched that game. Sunday Night Football, island game, everyone's watching. Stafford looks fantastic, the Rams look fantastic, and the line moves from 3 up to 4. Conversely, we watched the Colts play terrible football at home against the Seattle Seahawks. They fall flat on their face. So everyone in the public's going to want to bet the Rams this weekend. So if that's the case, why'd the line move from 4 down to 3.5? That's a telling note for me. Some money's coming in on the Colts. I would say that's the side as long as you get it at 3.5 or more. This is still a very good Colts defense. Seattle crushed them with those cover 2 beaters last week. I don't think we're going to see that happen again. The adjustments will be made on defense. The Rams defense, I don't think is as great as we saw last year. They did lose their defensive coordinator, Brandon Staley, to the Chargers as their new head coach. They were number 1 in total defense, number 1 in scoring defense last year. It's going to be tough to keep that up for a second year in a row. I would side with the Colts. I'm not running to bet it. I'm going to wait to follow the number here and see what happens. But that game smells like a trap as well.
Daily Wager contributor Joe Fortenbaugh joins us on the Goodyear Hotline. What about tonight's game, Joe? Giants visiting Washington, getting 3.5 points on the road. How does this one play out?
All right, so the money so far for tonight is on Washington, and the money is also on the under. Let's start with Washington. They were a 3-point favorite. It's the most important number in sports betting because more games end with a differential of 3 than any other number. 24-21. Right? 31-28, 17-14. It's very important to be on the right side of 3. So if you liked Washington, yesterday at -3 was the time to strike because it's now up to 3.5. Washington money is coming in. I think this is a direct correlation to A, Washington can play some good defense. They're at home. And it's not a huge drop-off in quarterback play from Ryan Fitzpatrick to Taylor Heineke. All right, it's a drop-off, but it's not that significant like we'd see from, say, Aaron Rodgers to his backup or Drew Brees in his heyday to his backup. Conversely, the Giants looked terrible in Week 1. They looked terrible in the preseason. Daniel Jones is sloppy. The defense, which was supposed to be the strength of the team, got torched last week for 5.9 yards per carry by Teddy Bridgewater and the Denver rushing attack. So the money's on Washington. It's also on the under. We saw what happened with Washington's offense last week against the Chargers. They got bogged down, and they weren't exactly going to be a high-powered unit to begin with. The Giants, as we just mentioned, they look terrible offensively, and again, through the entire preseason. So the thought process here is the money is going to be on the under. The money is going to be on Washington. But if you do like Washington, realize you missed the best of it. You wanted to lay the 3. You don't want to lay the 3.5.
Are the bettors buying into the Eagles being a legit team? They take on the 49ers at home. We saw the 49ers last week, but we also saw Philadelphia and Jalen Hurts against the Atlanta Falcons. What is your read on this game?
That's a tough one to figure out because Philly and Atlanta had a lot of variables up in the air. New head coach for Philadelphia, new head coach for Atlanta. How are these teams going to respond to their new situations? And Philly playing from in front was a big advantage for Jalen Hurts. When he plays from behind and has to throw on every down, that's when we see him get into some trouble. So the game plan looks solid, the performance looks solid, and now all of a sudden, because of a blowout and a great defensive effort, people want to jump on Philadelphia. Nobody liked Philadelphia prior to that game. Nobody. So I think there's a bit of an overreaction there, right? How bad is Atlanta? Maybe Atlanta isn't that bad. It was just one bad game. Then you've got the 49ers who are dealing with some injuries. This is back-to-back games on the road. They were at Detroit. Now they're going to stay on the East Coast, something they've done before and had success with. Then they're going to take on Philly in a packed house. What is the defense going to look like? They're battling some injuries. It's a team that last week had a huge lead and then blew the cover late. They were 8.5-point favorites when that game closed, and they got backdoored because of the 2 touchdowns and the 2 two-point conversions. So what do you make of that game here? That's a stay away from me. I think this Niners team is one of the best in the business. The ability to run the ball, the ability to dictate tempo. They are fantastic at what they do with the misdirection on offense. I'm not ready to buy into Philly yet, but I do have to acknowledge the fact that they played a heck of a lot better in week 1 than I thought they would.
Joe, what does Vegas know that I don't know? Chiefs, Ravens, it's a big game. Sunday, 8:20, Sunday night game. Kansas City, -3.5. I look at the Ravens. No Marcus Peters, hurts their secondary. A lot of guys injured. I mean, who knows who their running back, Latavius Murray, just got picked up the other day. Why is that line only -3.5?
All right, so the look-ahead line for this game was Kansas City -2.5. So they were going to come on the road. They were going to be a small favorite against the Ravens. Then we see the Ravens go kaput Monday night in Las Vegas against the Raiders. The line moves through the key number of 3 up to 3.5. So that might only look like a 1-point move, but it's much more significant than that, right? 8 to 9 is a 1-point move. 2.5 to 3.5 is a 1-point move. But again, you're going through that key number of 3, so that is very significant to note. Now, that being said, I'm also surprised it's not a bit higher. When you look at what Kansas City does, the public loves to bet them. The money's going to be coming in. I think there's a two-pronged attack here. Number one, will Baltimore look as bad as they did Monday night? They look really bad, but they're coming home. They have the crowd noise on their side. Defensively, you're probably going to get a better effort. Number two, Kansas City, for as good as they've been, they're terrible to bettors. They're 2-10 against the spread in their last 12 games. We look at that game last week and we say, yeah, great comeback. Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs, they came all the way back. They beat Cleveland. What a great performance. Not from a betting perspective. They were trailing the whole way and they didn't cover the closing number, which was somewhere around 5.5. And the money was coming in on the Browns in that game. So this isn't going higher because I think maybe there are some bettors thinking to themselves, Baltimore won't be as bad as we saw in week 1. And we also know when it comes to Kansas City, they do not cover point spreads anymore. They're the most overvalued team in the NFL. So be careful there. That being said, if you lay it with the Chiefs and you win, it's not going to surprise me. Baltimore looked terrible on offense Monday night.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.